once again, this time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show. Yeehaw.
This is David the AM with the Southern Fried Podcast. We are now an affiliate of Podbean. Podbean is an audio platform which helps you get your voice out there. You can go online and go live from your very phone that you use. You don't have to have a lot of special equipment. It's nice to have a studio, but it's expensive. You can do those things from your phone. Hey, I was a listener of Podbean before I even became a podcaster. Maybe you've thought about being one. There was a time when I didn't think about being a podcaster, but think about it. You've got things to share. It could be as simple as baking, or it could be working on a car. The stories are endless that you could come up with to be a podcaster. And there are people out there that want to listen and to your stories and to your shows. And we're thankful for all those that watch and listen to us. Podbean is now an affiliate of the Southern Fried Podcast. Unless you're a business plan, that would be the bottom one. The one on top, use that. You'll get discounts. And also the Southern Fried Podcast benefits in this as well. I love Podbean. They also help launch out to many other audio sites. This saves me time. Time is precious. Time to be on the podcast. Time for research. Time to be with family. And yes, time to work. Yes, we still work out there in the workforce. So become a podcaster. Use Podbean. And when you use these links, one of them, you will save money and you'll also help the Southern Fried Podcast. Thanks so much for all your support. Take care. We'll see you soon. Hey, this is Dave with the Southern Fried Podcast. Recently, me and Rob were able to go to Fresh Press Farms and do an interview, which we posted on all of our streams. We love these folks. They're amazing. And we are also customers of theirs. I've recently ordered my olive oil that we use in cooking to our home. We love that they're Georgia-based. We love that they're the only olive producer in the state of Georgia. And we love that they're making jobs here for Georgians in South Georgia. We want you to become a part of their family and use their products. They are the makers of homegrown cold-pressed cooking oils. Crafting oil like this means that they capture the best of the olive and the sunflower because they make that oil too. And they have other products that they have out there. It's an amazing company. They like to say freshness is never a question with Fresh Press Farms. They believe that what we put into our bodies should be minimally processed and actually improve our health and taste like the source. Locally produced and vertically integrated, they proudly grow, harvest, cold press, bottle, and distribute their oils in Georgia to ensure top-notch quality and a quick trip from Grove to Pranchy. Please go online and look up their website and order you some too. Support small business, support Georgia business, and we would appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. And I am back with the Southern Talk now. We switch gears a little bit. Welcome, welcome into the show. If I get my words right, Platinum Wins over Instagram. I know you're excited about the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the dreaded Kansas City Chiefs. I like both teams, actually, but I think Philly got a good chance to win this game. We'll talk about that soon in a sports program. Welcome to everybody here. I was just a couple minutes. I was talking to Chick Crew offline a little bit, and I got to send her a link too. She asked me to do that, so hopefully I can find that here real quick and get that to her. And but welcome on a Saturday, whoever's in. We had quite a few last time. Hopefully they'll come back and join us. If not, maybe some new folks will come along and join in as well. So we are back on YouTube. We got banned for a whole week, man. That was tough. So very tough that I'm texting with her now. Let me find this link to one of our lives and get that out to her. She wants to join in as well. And but yeah, we got banned for a week. Can you imagine that? I cannot imagine that we got banned like that. But they did. They kicked us out for a week, and we can't say the word. I can't say that word. We'll get banned for much longer. So All right, let me pop this into the link for her, and there we go. Got that done. So, but yeah, we're back, and we had some new visitors from YouTube, and we picked up a follower while we were banned. So hey, maybe it works. Rob says maybe we need to get banned more often. I said no, we don't. We're going to get kicked off there for good, but we're not going to do that. We're going to be good. You think we were bad people, but we're we're not. But boy, we sure got on the bad side of them. But glad to have everybody joining back in with us, and we'll continue on a Saturday, whether it's cold or whether it's warm or rainy or whatever. We hope that you are having a great Saturday, and I hate that we got to wait a whole nother week for I think it is for the Super Bowl. I'm ready for it to happen now. I'm ready. I miss football when it's not here. But we are going to really do a better job this year. We came into this thing so we didn't come into late, Memorial Day. That's when we started that officially as a podcast, and we really didn't get really into the sports side. We just was trying to get there with so much things going on. We're gonna cover much more deeply baseball this year and racing. And the Daytona 500 is coming up shortly, and we're trying to get the studio ready. We're going to have the Southern Fried Racing Hour. And I'm going to have an in studio, not just online, but in studio with me, friend. He's going to join me for the race season, and we'll probably talk about some other racing. I'm a big fan of the Indianapolis 500 and Southern Fried Baseball. I could dig it. Yeah, that's not bad. We could talk about the Southern Fried. We'll do baseball scores. We'll talk about the game, and the beauty of that is baseball's on just about every day. So if you're into baseball, but all those, and then we're going to really gear up for the football season. Like I said, we knew that 2025 was really when it was going to hit the ground running and get some things going. Hey, Lewis, glad to have you in here, bud. From cold Ohio, they say it's cold. And so we hope that you've got a warm cup of coffee. I don't have coffee in here. I'm drinking, and I'm true to my our commercial. I do have some Dot Mountain Dew, but I also have the Dubby. That's not fake for us. I don't know if Robert ever got any, but I do have it, and I do drink this every day. I like it. What I say in that commercial is true. You don't have the jitters. You don't have the crash. It's no sugar added. In fact, I've got to order some more. I'm getting pretty low. And there are some energy drinks I like in the bottle. They just do the powders now, I think, but they've got shirts and hats. And in fact, in the commercial, it says this hat that I would be able to show soon. There it is. And it has, they've got all these different things. They've got the eyeballs there with the X's and stuff. It's hard to see on the black with the face. But this was a hat that I ordered, and it has 1 of 200. So I thought, well, you know what? And on the inside, you got the Dubby. But I did order this hat, and I wear it. It's a comfortable hat. So somewhere in the studio here, it's up behind me. You can't see it. It's up on the shelf behind me, the Dubby shaker that I have as well. But sometimes I just put it I'll just put a scoop into the water bottle, shake it up. I'm good to go. And I carry that around with me. So yeah. Did I see the video? What's this? Did I see the video where the dad was holding the baby and a beer and caught a foul ball? Well, This is a recent one, or that one that was pretty famous? I mean, there's been one out there. And yes, he didn't drop the baby. Dads do that. Dads don't drop the kids. There's a montage of videos where you see dads catching their kids that are falling, or they're in trouble, they're chasing down and getting them from going over the edge of something, and they don't spill their beer. But yeah, it was recent. I didn't see it then. I'll have to look that up. But dads are pretty good like that. I trusted my dad a lot, and there was a couple of times I had to rescue my kiddos. They were all boy. They were wide open. I mean, that's what I mean by that. They just was wide open. They were outdoors and running around and playing like a lot of kids do. And there was a couple of times I had to do the dad rescue. My wife is looking at me like, they could have got hurt, and I'm like, yeah, it's great, ain't it? No, I'm just kidding. But we didn't keep them in a bubble. We did let them play. We just keep an eye on them. That's what you do. But but yeah, it's a week before the Super Bowl. I'm ready for the week to kind of get going into this. Me and Rob are looking at prop bets on Taylor Swift, and I know you're saying, "Oh, Taylor Swift, I don't want to talk about that." But Vegas has a number of prop bets for Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. I think it's how many times she will be seen live on screen. There's a number on that. I want to think that was 5 or 6. You lay your money on that. Then there was how many kisses will they have in the post game celebration if Kansas City wins? Who knows? They might kiss even if they don't win. I don't know. But I think that was 2.5. I said 3 for sure. 2.5, and there was some other ones. I forget which one they were now. Oh, I think how many times was Jason Kelce shown versus Taylor? Because he gets a lot of camera time too. He's a funny guy. And the Kelce's together with their podcast that's pretty cool. I've watched it before. That's exploding. That's a big brand. Well, the Southern Friday never going to be that big, but I do like. They're funny guys. I mean, they really are. And people like to give them a hard time. And Travis is I say he's the crazier, but when you see some of the stuff Jason does, and I think I don't know, I think they take after their mom. I just do. I don't think she has that look like she had fun growing up. But anyway, they're very funny, and I like their podcast. You're going to buy some steaks today? Well, good for being a meat eater. I like that. And support of the meat industry. It needs it. And I hope you're packing a fat wallet if you're going to buy steaks, because unfortunately meat prices have went through the roof. Crazy. I went to a place yesterday, and they have the best, I would say the best flavored, although they're very, very good. It's the biggest chicken tenders that I've ever seen. I mean, they give you 4, and they dropped one of mine on the way, and I said, "Don't worry, we'll bring you one." We had one jump off the plate, and they did. They did bring me another one. The Rogue chicken tender, fried chicken tender, which I know is not the best way to have that, but I do like it. You want to eat vegan, or have you say that when not eating meat? Okay, well that's cool. And I don't mind that. The only thing I don't like is when people get on to me about eating meat. I don't like that. If people want to eat whatever else there is, then that's fine with me. Some people can eat certain things. Medium rare is the best. I hear this argument all the time. I can't go that far. I just can't. If that works for you, I'm going to be medium to medium well. I have to be in that. I say well a lot of times because honestly, they don't get it well. And I don't want it burnt or nothing like that. I still want it to have moisture and, juices and all that stuff. I don't want to see blood rolling out of it. I'll say that. I'll be honest with you. But a good flavoring of stuff, that's great. But if you say well, they're not going to get it well. It's going to be medium well. If I say medium well, then it's going to be medium. That's just the way most places go. Every once in a while, they get it just right. But usually that's not the way it is. Chick-bait, have you been to Raising Cane's? Have you went there? My granddaughters just love that place. They built a new one about 25, 30 minutes away from us, and I took them up there. My gosh, we had to fight our way in and fight our way out just to get a to-go. The line was too long for the drive-through, so I just hiked in. You say your son loves that place. They did. My granddaughter came back and she did a 1 to 10 survey with us on the chicken, which I gave a 10. It was definitely a 10. Yeah, it was chicken fingers. Chicken fingers. It's a small bit. Yeah, well, that's what they're good at. I mean, what you're good at, you just you do. And I gave it a 10. The fries I gave about a 7, 8. Because they're a little smaller on the smaller side, but they're good. And I like them, but they're not my favorites. I wouldn't give them a 10. And they have the bread in there. And I think I went 9 on the bread. I like bread, and I like that they have that. And of course, my granddaughter's going 10, 10, 10. My other granddaughter was pretty close to what I said. And she ate real slow all the way home because we had to get it to go. And she ate that all the way home and was savoring every moment because, well, one, she realized she probably wouldn't be going back for a little bit. But she hugged me. And you know how kids are today. We're walking back to the truck, and it's cold. It was one of those days. It was brutal cold down here. We're walking back to the truck, and all of a sudden she stopped. And I said, "What are you doing?" She goes, "Oh, I got to take a picture for all my friends and let them know." Or she said, "Make them jealous that I got to go to Raising Cane's." I'm like, "Come on, don't be that." And she said, "I'm just kidding. But I do want to tell them I went." I said, "That's cool." So baby girl's up seeing her mom this weekend, so I don't have her till Sunday evening, I guess. But yeah, Raising Cane's. There's going to be a skit that's going to occur in the near future between Uncle Jeb and Georgia Bubba. Georgia Bubba is a new puppet that we have coming online soon. And there is a skit between those two that is funny as I'll get out, I promise you, or you can at least laugh at us. I'll just throw that out there. That's going to come in the near future. We're going to introduce more puppets. So we're going to actually build in this new studio a little puppet stage. And so we'll give them their due, give them their little corner of the world here and have fun with them. And there'll be a third from South Georgia. So hopefully Rob will have his little friend there and maybe some other little critters along the way as we go. This is something we'll work on through 2025. And right now, it'll only be seen in promos and Cornbread Nation. So eventually, it might have its own show. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, great day to be alive. You know what? Every day's life. I had I say a dear friend. It was a work acquaintance. He was a vendor to our company, and he was a little younger than me. I just found out he passed away, and it so shocked me. I found this out on Thursday. I think it was Wednesday, Thursday. I think it was Thursday, and it was Thursday. And we've got him. That company is coming back. They do our hearing protection, and I was stunned, absolutely stunned. Prayers to his family. I don't want to say a name; they might not want me to do that, but I did live in the Marietta, Georgia area, and we have talked extensively about politics and life and family over the years, and I'm going to miss this guy. You have friends where you don't hang out, kind of friends, and he was that kind of friend. He was just a guy that I really enjoyed talking to, and he was the kind of same thing. He went to a liberal college. There were a handful of conservatives that went to this college, just kind of like J.D. Vance, where he went to college. I'm sure he stood out like a sore thumb. And so a lot of people they didn't agree with politically on the political spectrum, but they were friends. And he would tell me the inside of what he was hearing from his liberal friends. I have Chick Bates. She's my liberal friend. She's middle of the road liberal, right? Chick, you're still out there. She's middle of the road. We talk all over the spectrum. We've had some good debates, but it's a lot of fun. But yeah, and I hate that though. I hate that I am the best lib friend ever. I like that. That's a great statement there. Miss Yavina that has been on 2 Friday night front porches with us. She's a hoot. I hope y'all can watch her. She is great. She's gonna be a regular part of the rotation here. And she said in one of our video we did with the Stop the Monkey Farm in South Georgia in Bainbridge when we were down there. Right in the middle of that video, I about fell out. She cracked me up. She said, "I am good morning to you, MV Patriot." She said, "I am the liberal hippie chick," and I just loved her. I just fell in love with her attitude and her way. And we sat down there. I said, "You have got to come on the program." And she has been kind enough to come in twice, and we're going to try to get her in at least once a month. But she is, she brings another perspective to things, and just, she has a different take on some things than we do, but we don't argue about it. We're friends. And so, we give each other space with that. Chick says libs aren't as bad as they used to be. Well, that depends on which end of the spectrum they are. And we can say the same things about some conservatives too. Let's be fair here. I always say, listen, I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan. Everybody knows that. And whatever fan base you are, I'm going to use that by example. If you more lives, I don't know if I can go that far. This I like this channel doesn't branch out. If you're a dog fan, there are some Georgia fans that are, I'm going to say it, embarrassment to being a dog fan. Oh, I've met them. I'm like, are you kidding me? We have these people. They're wearing the dog hat and the shirts and everything. They're barking like a dog, and you're like, these people are kind of embarrassing. It's like, oh, well, we have those in MAGA. We have those in the conservative circles. Certainly, there are some you're like, no, they didn't just say that. It's like the black sheep of the family. I'll just say it. There's some out there. I'm like, good grief. Where do these people come from? So, Chick, to be fair, we're friends and we don't agree on everything. We agree on some things. We do. But you got to admit, there's some out there. You go the far end of the spectrum, you're like, oh, and even the liberals are like, people are killing us. So it's like any family, right? It's any family. You can have good and bad. How's things, MV Patriot, in your weather world today? The spectrum on the crowd is cold to wet to blue skies and cool. We don't have warm yet, but believe it or not, on Monday here, we're going to hit 70. I'm not trying to make you jealous. 70. I think Rob said 75 for where he's at on Monday. Unfortunately, more rain, and I'm thankful for the rain. Thank you, Lord, for the good rain you're sending us. But we're gonna have more rain, and we're gonna get covered up with those things. But yeah, it's a good day. It really is, and I'm looking forward. And I was sick last week, and you can still hear my voice. We will have our news desk Sunday night if I have to roll in on a stretcher. Because I missed that, and I've been meaning to make it up. We're just going to wait till the next show. I've got all sorts of things I want to cover, but yeah, I along with our last show, and I didn't get to this part about the DC crash, but Senator Marshall, there's an article with him about. He says let's stop the helicopters flying near Reagan Airport, and I said that in the last live. I think that's probably a good idea. I just think that's not a good thing. He is a representative of Kansas, and he's applauding the administration for barring helicopters from flying near the national airport in the wake of the deadly mid-air collision. He said that he flies American Airlines Flight 512s from Wichita to Reagan once a week. Quote, this is what he says, every time I get on that flight, I probably recognize half the people and certainly know all of them. He said on that. He said, this is a gut punch. So he says he knows these people. He goes on to say he has been concerned about the helicopters in the airspace near that airport. Quote, this is the busiest runway in all of America, and there's military helicopters in this area. Marshall said there's no reason the military can't fly their missions in other places. There's plenty of Atlantic Ocean in one direction. They can go towards Virginia. They don't need to be here. The Kansas senator said he appreciated how quick the administration was to address his concerns, specifically Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Marshall also said that President Trump has been radically transparent since the crash. I think with past administrations, you wouldn't have known those facts. I appreciate President Trump's team taking accountability here, and they're going to correct it. And I have confidence that they're going to do that as well. And I say the same things. I think there's other ways to accomplish both goals. One is to clear that airspace up some. Two is get those operators the flight time they need and practice flying in and out of stuff. Let's be honest. Yeah, were they getting practice time? Sure. But let's be honest. What were most of these flights for the helicopters? Probably bringing in higher level defense folks, flying them in and out. I mean, they have said that they were used as a transportation means for some of these folks. Let's just separate the military and the non-military flights and just clean that airspace up a little bit. I just think that would be wise. Hey, I don't know everything, but I just think that makes common sense. And those areas are very congested. That airport it's overmaxed. It's over the capacity level. And you know what? If they could say, well, it hasn't happened for 20 years. Well, if it happens once, that's one too many. And these people, that doesn't help how they feel about it. they feel pretty upset. They've lost their loved ones, and I get that. I'd be ticked off too. It's just horrible, and I hate it for the military families. I hate that. That pilot for the military pilot from Georgia, Lilburn, Georgia, went to a very well known high school, was in ROTC, so it hits pretty close to home too. So I hope that they can get that straightened out. I do support that with that. So yeah, great things going on. As we look around, there's things to happen. Let's not forget the people in North Carolina. There's still things need to happen there. The people that are trying to recover from the the fires, and there's other things that have went on too. It's not just to say those are the other two areas, but they are hit the worst. But yeah, I've never, talking about flying, I've never flown that much. My job has never taken me too much, my life. I've flown a little bit. So I'm not a frequent flyer, and I don't anticipate that I ever will be. Some of you have probably flown a lot. And you know what? It is versus cars. The numbers they're safe. It's safe, but you have an incident, and it gets a lot of attention. Of course, it's horrible. People and things falling out of the sky are not good. That was a violent mid-air collision. Any mid-air collision would be, and watching those disintegrate on the way down and flying into the water there, that's horrible. Nobody wants to see that. So yeah, they got to get this correct. It's like, well, we hadn't had this happen in 20 years. Well, we've had it happen now, so we got to fix now. We got to figure out what happens now and get that corrected. Former Secretary LaHood, he said that the airspace is too crowded. So there's a lot of people speaking out about this. And he served under President Barack Obama, and he said you have Dulles in Northern Virginia, you have Reagan in downtown Washington, D.C., and you have Baltimore just a few miles down the road in Maryland. In addition, there's Andrews Air Force Base, the home of all Air Force planes used by the government, and a helicopter base right across the river from Reagan Airport. People have to understand when they look at this that it is a space that I happen to think is too crowded, said LaHood, adding that the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, while investigating the crash, will probably look at it very carefully. Quote, perhaps one of the recommendations will be that it is too crowded. There needs to be some relief somehow for this crowded airspace, end quote. He noted that the country's last major commercial disaster was 2009 in Buffalo, 20 days after he was sworn in, after pilot error was indicated by the NTSB as the cause of that accident. Quote, we tried to utilize the accident in Buffalo to correct some problems that we found, and were able to work with Congress and pass bipartisan legislation, end quote. And then, quote, that's really probably the only good thing that came out of this. And I hope that's the way it works out in this incident. So hopefully, yes, that they will correct the issues and get it better. So yeah, welcome in from Uganda. We appreciate you posting about your children's foundation on the Instagram side of things. But yeah, they need to correct this. It is, it's just, and you hate it. I mean, those are, how many families are affected? It's not just the 69 or whatever it came out to be, or 67 or what, I think it was 67 total. Yeah, 67. You think of the effects of that. How many people they're connected to, people they work with, people that knew them. And it has a deep effect. All the communities that were involved, and it affects so many people, and just people wherever you're from that just hate this. Children and moms and dads, and it even affected into my some people that I know. It affected them. They were related somehow to someone on that planet, and that's here in North Georgia. So. And as well as Lilburn was obviously, this is beyond that. This was someone else. And I seen them post a picture, and their family is devastated about what's happened, as anyone would be and should be. So yeah, let's just fix this. And I think the key here is going to be the military aspect. And I love the military, but again, it's just not. Representative Mike Lawyer said to Newsmax, military training not suited near commercial traffic. He is representative from Republican New York, excuse me, and he said it just shouldn't be conducted near commercial air traffic. I just think that's, I mean, without coming with calls, and they're going to determine all that. Even whatever the cause they come up with, it's just not a good idea. And there's video that was posted of another plane, and there were two Blackhawks that were going along fairly, but just a slightly below them as they were. I think they were outgoing. They were showing the Blackhawks that were traveling along. Just not a good idea. And it's sad that it takes a major incident for that to happen. Isn't it sad that we have that? Near us, we had a major incident happen one time. People had asked for a red light where Interstate 75 comes off into one of the entrance points to the area I live. There's two or three. And one is a major highway, 4-lane major highway. And where it's even busier now, but in those days, there used to be a time you stopped and you just waited for an opening, you went, and people were complaining about needing a red light. And fortunately, they used these data points. And there had been a number of wrecks, but had been no fatalities. Well, one day, him and his wife were coming in. They're driving a big RV, and they cruised through, and they smashed into a carload of teenagers coming from the high school. And I think it killed every one of them. I'm almost certain of that. I know it killed most of them, if not all of them. And so it shook the community. It was horrifying until still this day. And so you know what happened? Studies got bumped up, and you know what? They put out of that incident, they put the red light in, and it's still there to this day, and it's even busier. Why do we do that? Why can't we be proactive and fix things before? That's what we talk about in our companies, our industry. We talk about, being safe, and what we look at, you do your safety, look at, your area, your environment, and what can we do to make things better? Why do we do that? Why do we procrastinate or just put off and ignore this? And there were people that I'm sure had talked about this and said, listen, this is a bad idea. And why can't we be proactive that way? There are things out there like that today, but sadly, that's the way it goes. Sometimes they just don't. They don't do those things that they should do. I don't know why. It's just the way things go. I just think it's a bad idea. Now, listen, I've been to my local airport and I've watched Blackhawks come in and fly in formation and land. They were coming in for something. I don't know what it was. It was neat to watch the landing of them. But I wondered about that. Is it good to have all these military helicopters around? Our airport was never that busy, and it's busier today than it was then. I was there waiting on a flight of caviar to come in to take to a restaurant. Never done that before. I just thought it was funny. Caviar coming in the red eye flight in white buckets, all sealed and everything. But I just thought it was funny. Here I am carrying these white, but they've come off of a plane into my old van, bounced around up the mountain, up this, I think it was Signal Mountain. I had to go up to this restaurant and then unloaded. And within matter of a little bit of time, that caviar would be going out onto plates, the fancy dining ware and all the expense of that. But yet I picked it up in a white bucket. Oh, that's the way it's sealed and shipped, though. But presentation is everything, I guess. Are y'all a fan of caviar? I'm not. I could ask that. I'm not a fan, but some people love it. I'm just not into that. So I'm pretty picky eater, I guess. So it's okay. The world will survive if I don't eat caviar. It's not going to matter too much. So yeah, this was a crazy story here, and I don't know a lot about it. But did y'all hear about the 5-year-old boy that was killed in the hyperbaric chamber? It exploded in Michigan with him inside. It was shortly before 8 a.m. At the Royal Oak, Michigan. It was inside a hyperbaric chamber at the Oxford Center, a medical facility in Troy, Michigan, where he was. The boy was from Royal Oak, and the place was in Troy. He was being treated with the chamber in the chamber when it exploded with him inside. The fire department responded immediately to the scene where they discovered the boy was already deceased, according to the Troy police. The mother, quote, the mother suffered injuries to her arms as she was standing near the cylinder when it exploded. And the name of the 5-year boy obviously has not been released. Please pray for the little boy and his family. A hyperbaric chamber contains 100% oxygen, which is up to 5 times the amount of oxygen in a normal room. The presence of such a high amount of oxygen in a pressurized environment can make it extremely combustible. Our initial research shows that this was not a common incident, and the scene remains under active investigation. Sounds like a failure of something that was going on there, but I can imagine what that scene was like, and that's so sad that the boy. And they do treat that. I'm not questioning that at all, but something went wrong, very, very wrong there. And you come for treatment, you don't come for. They're used to treat for a number of. I didn't know this, for neurological diseases and wounds. I knew, but I didn't know it was treated to treat the neurological diseases. I did not know that. During the procedure, you sit or lie in a special chamber. Some hyperbaric chambers treat only one at a time. A monoplace chamber. In a monoplace chamber, you lie on a table that slides into the hyperbaric chamber where you'll continue lying while receiving treatment. Your health care facility may have a hyperbaric chamber designed for use by multiple people at once, a multiplace chamber. In those chambers, you receive your oxygen treatment through a specialized mask. In some facilities, you'll wear a lightweight see-through oxygen hood. Once the door to the chamber is closed, you might hear a slight hissing sound as oxygen fills the chamber and the pressure inside slowly grows. I'm sure about this. Your ears may feel clogged or start to pop. Similar to flying in an airplane or traveling through mountains, you can relieve this by yawning or taking a sip of water. Holding your nose and swallowing the water, you'll breathe normally throughout the therapy. If you're in a monoplace chamber, you may pass the time by watching television or watching a movie, sleeping or listening to music, or a podcast. Hey, maybe somebody's listening to us. Who knows? A podcast or an audio book. I've never been to one of those places. If you're in a multi-place, you can play card games, read a book or magazine. So interesting. Pray for that family. That's it is considered healthy. It's pure oxygen that used to help the immune system fight bacteria, generate stem cells. Stem cells are special cells in your body that help create other types of important cells, including blood cells, brain cells, and muscle cells. They help your body to heal, to work properly. The tissues in your body must have enough oxygen. If your tissues are injured, they need even more oxygen. The increased pressure in hyperbaric oxygen therapy helps your blood carry oxygen throughout your body, especially injured tissues. It also helps your white blood cells protect your body from infection. So there you go. Interesting story. Just unfortunate what had happened there. So sad, so sad. Brought to us today by the Gateway Pundit. By the way, follow these folks. We want to give them full credit for the stories. They do a lot of stories every day, or forward out a lot of stories too. And I like keeping up with many things that are going on. But yeah, me and Robert were talking about Kash Patel and his response, Pelosi, during this is must see TV. It'll be going on again this week, and will some of these be confirmed? We'll have to wait and see. It is very contentious. I also like the Elizabeth Warren, her trying to get him to say he will not sue. And, of course, she has made a bunch of money from those big pharma. There was a funny meme going around with a shirt on, supposedly she was wearing, just as a joke about big pharma. That's where you do follow the money, right? Follow the money. Who's got their money in your pockets, and that's the way it rolls, because they're not going to come out hard against stuff like that. All these lobbyists and stuff, and that's what they're doing. They're flowing money back to these politicians in many different kinds of ways. It's not a straight cash thing, although that can happen. It could be resourced in other ways, access to stocks, bonds, inside information, which is illegal, sure, but don't say it don't go on, because it does. And you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, kind of thing. And I'm not saying that happens in every case at all, but it does happen. And all you got to do is watch the stature of these people rise up, their money. And Pelosi's one of those. She's done very well in the stock market, we'll say. Maybe a little too good, some would say. I'll be careful here. I don't want to be sued, but I would say that it has been mentioned or spoken of in quiet corners that she has benefited tremendously, and so we'll see that. Whatever. I've seen it locally. They can say what they want, but when somebody goes one way and they have only so much money, and the next thing you know, they're flowing in money. Something's happened because they don't make that much in the position. So it happens. So congratulations. There's supposed to be a release of hostages today in Israel. I have not kept up. Of course, it's nighttime there and that by now, and I haven't kept up. There was an American, one of them with American citizenship, who was supposed to be released. I hope that's has happened. And the last scenes of release were so heartbreaking. The young girl and the 80-year-old man. But the people trying to get to her to kill her, it's just horrible. But the scenes of reunion, they just bring tears to your eyes. They're undergoing medical exams after these reunions. Now this is this is interesting. This is from the Jerusalem Post. Hamas has given the hostages release certificates detailing their October 7th abduction. The documents including details about the date of their abduction and release, as well as a note stating that they were freed as part of a, quote, prisoner exchange deal, end quote. They gave the two now released hostages, Yarden Bibas and Ofer Calderon, as part of their release certificates, according to images on Saturday by the terrorist organization. This was released on Telegram. The documents included details about the date of the abduction, as well as stating they were freed as part of that. Interesting they would do that. I wonder why that is. They've been flown to the medical center, the Sheba Medical Center at Tel Hashomer, and then one was transferred to a hospital in Tel Aviv. They also have released some dead, deceased as well, and this continues to happen. Of course, they're releasing massive amounts of terrorists for this to happen, and sadly, that's the way this goes sometimes. But one of those releases, I want to thank the entire people of Israel for their support and help. I heard from my family how you fought for me, and I want to say a huge thank you. I really appreciate it. It's not something I take for granted. At the end of his note, he wrote, "Happy birthday, Grandpa." His grandfather celebrating his 90th birthday on the same day as his release. Oh, it's horrible. I mean, think how long these people they've lost this time. They've lost this time. This girl was so traumatized that came out. The young girl, she was so traumatized that she got back to the Israeli side. It's going to take a lot of counseling for her. And I don't know what all happened. I don't need to know. It's none of my business. And I just hope it's horrible. However, I just hope it wasn't. I just hope that we don't hear how bad it was. I just hope it wasn't as bad as we think it could be. Is what I'm trying to say. I hope that it wasn't. It was bad. It's horrible. There's nothing good about it. But I hope that she wasn't abused in ways that we could all just be heartbroken over. But this young lady, help her rebuild her life. She's got to catch up with her family. That she's missed special occasions with her family. That's a vacuum of time. I'm sure they had no idea what was going on in the world, and so they're going to have to go back and just catch up on all the news, see people, and they probably you know what, people die. Sometimes you have family members that pass away, and you just do not get that back. And but that embrace from mom to daughter was it's a moment, and it's horrible. Well, no matter what anybody thinks about this region and what goes on, I don't know anybody couldn't be horrified that these people, and if you're not horrified that these people were abducted and abused in that way, you're not human. There's something wrong with you. I don't care what the politics is. They had no right doing that. No right at all. And people that were celebrating this attack, I don't celebrate attacks. I don't celebrate missile strikes or things like that. I understand, when there's two entities fighting, there's things going to happen. I don't celebrate a strike because there's people involved. Now, if it's an evil person that is mass killed, I don't do a jump up and down, but I'm glad they got one because they're stopping killing or they're stopping the abductions or whatever if someone's doing those things. But I don't get that mentality to dancing in the streets when people are being raped and murdered and killed and drugged through streets. There's something wrong with you. I don't want that to happen to my enemies. I mean, there's something wrong with people that applaud that. So let's get them all back. It's went on for too long. This is interesting. Another article, and this was the gentleman that was just brought out, Gadi Moses. He argued with the Hamas terrorist over the ownership of the land, the family has said. In his first interview since his father was released from Gaza, Yair Moses shared that his father spent most of his captivity alone in a small room, but was also briefly held with two Thai nationals. Released hostage Gadi Moses, or Yadi Moses, I don't know how they pronounce that, but would have debates with his Hamas captors about the ownership over the land of Israel, having had spent the last 2 months of his captivity with two Thai hostages and knew about the release of hostages in the first deal that occurred. Throughout his captivity, which was during which he was mostly alone, Moses sought ways to alleviate his boredom. This included talking to his Hamas captors, discussing Islam and political issues, and engaging in arguments about where each side claimed that the land was, quote, was theirs. At one point, his captors asked him, quote, where are your parents from? When he answered, they told him, go back there. His captors also claimed that their people lived in the land of Israel before the Jews, to which Moses responded, quote, we had people in these places 3,000 years ago. What are you talking about? After being given books on Islam and other political issues, he struggled to read them without glasses, so he demanded that his captors find some for him. I love this guy. So they complied. Without electricity, Moses would go to sleep at sunset, wake up before sunrise at around 3 a.m. Occasionally, he heard Israeli bombings, some of them close by. It was very scary for him, said his son Yair in an interview with Walla. For most of his 482 days in captivity, he was alone in a small room. Towards the last 2 months, he was held with the Thai workers who had been kidnapped from the Gaza border area. Finally, he had other people with him. They tried to talk a little, and mainly just to be together. It's hard to be solitary. I mean, you go a little crazy, to be honest. Communicating through hand and eye gestures. Most of the time, they treated him with respect. When they ate with him. He was not scared except for a few moments. Most of the time, it was just boredom, hours of doing nothing. He was able to piece together a picture, learned about what was happening in Israel, and occasionally watched Al Jazeera. He knew about the destruction in Gaza. His captors even told him when buildings he had stayed in during his captivity were destroyed. Moses heard about the hostage deal in November 2023 and knew the names of those who had been released. He was excited for them and that they were getting out. Of course, he wanted to get out as well. He was more happy for them. He came back in much better shape than we could have imagined. We knew he was a strong man. Mentally, we weren't worried. Physically, we were. The emotions are intense, Yair continued. My father didn't recognize my beard. It was the first thing he noticed. He hadn't seen me on TV, only the other family members. He asked me, what's with the beard? I told him I hadn't cut my hair or shaved until he come back. He was shocked. We told him we were waiting for him so I could shave. Gadi Moses' niece, Efrat, shared that, quote, you feel the tension slowly dissipating from your body, especially knowing there are still others who need to return. It's a process and we respect his privacy. We're so lucky. Throughout his whole time, I kept saying that we are a nation that cherishes life, and now we really understand what that means. Some people will return alive, some won't, but even that will bring some relief to all of us. Amazing story. What an amazing guy. There's a little bit more here, but 80-year-old man. You know what? We get older, we don't care. The filters are relieved. I can't read. Get me some glasses. And having those discussions, those debates about the land. I've heard that. That before. And if you go in the Bible, there's some of these groups that they want to go back to the Canaanites and the Hittites, and a little bit of a blip there. Sometimes still working on a few Wi-Fi things here, but they'll go back to that. Well, then, according to the Bible, those nations had the land taken from them. Whatever you want to say. You know what? Who's in control of the land now? It doesn't really matter. To be honest, it really doesn't. All nations were conquered and reconquered and conquered again in a lot of cases. And nobody's giving land back. It's not going to happen. So just stop with the argument. There's enough room over there in all those areas, not just that little sliver of land. Come on. There's places for everybody. If the Palestinians had truly wanted to have a state, they could have already had it. They don't want to take the state. They want it all. It's not going to happen. So you just continue to lose. You lose. You think you're going to get back all of that land. You're fools. It's not going to happen. So you could have had something in 1948. You said no. You wasn't even, you wasn't going to be satisfied with that. So you get nothing. You lose. What is at the end of Willy Wonka when he's messing with them? They didn't fall. You lose. You get nothing. But then he comes back. But you. What has it gotten you? What has all of the terrorism got you? Are you any closer to your goals of the eradication of the Jews from Israel? It's not going to happen, Bob. I mean, come on. I get so tired of that. You can run around keeping your little camo over your face and walk around your AK-47s and act all military, and we're going to do this and have your marches and shoot, your bullets up in the air. You get nothing. You do it to yourself. That's not your goal. Your goal is stated in your charter to take all the land and destroy the Jews. That's your charter. So you refuse to change the charter, you lose. And the Palestinian Authority, the PA, is not much better. It's all the same people. They just lighten up a little bit and say a little differently. But you all lose. You've sucked a lot of money from the nations of the world for all these years. That's absolutely true, including the United States of America. But for the next 4 years, it's going to dry up some. But they need to just, move on. This is not going to happen. They're not going to get this land. Israel's not going to go to some other place. That's not going to happen. So it's lunacy. You keep saying the same things and you think it's going to change. It's not going to change. I get it. If you think if someone says this was my family, they lost land. They could have had land. The situation is not going to change. And where has this gotten you to maintain this attitude? It's not going to get you anything. And I do feel, I think the United Nations, it's the most ridiculous welfare system I've ever seen in the world, where these people that live in these UN-ran camps, where they get all this stuff supported to them, and they have no rights. They're not a citizen of any nation. They're totally dependent upon others. Of course, they're going to turn mean. I mean, you know what? Absorb these people into the cultures there, into the nations. They play nice. You've already got you've got control of Gaza. Gaza could be a tourist haven. Think about it. It's the same biblical. I mean, you got biblical sites there. You got beautiful beaches. You could have so much, and you refuse to do it. You lose. It's not anybody else's fault. Blame yourselves. You teach in your textbooks. You teach your children to hate. Change that, and you'll change your future. Change that, you'll have a better future. Nobody feels sorry for you except for those that believe exactly the way you do. You lose. You do something about your situation. Rise up above it. And until that happens, it's going to be the same old, same old. Same in Lebanon. that nation could be a tourist haven as well. There's so much to do in that region. Syria, all of that, you lose. And wicked leaders supporting wicked things, you root out the terrorists, get your nations under control, and you can have things. And you know what? Nation building, America would be a part of it. They've done it before, but I'm against just sending money to these people and letting them put it in their pocket. The heck with them. Let them live like adults. Let them live like civilized people in a society. And there's so much that can happen. But when you go across border and you take women and children and you do what you did, you lose. And that's what I'll say. Yeah, is Israel heavy-handed? Sure, they are. I'll admit it. Some of the destruction is I get that. But let's go back to the root of this. What's caused this? It's this hatred. Take what you have. You already got all of Gaza. You succeeded there. You've got the West Bank. You've got that. You can have so much more, but this is not going to happen. That's we talk about all things that could happen. It's not going to happen, and you don't want it to happen. And until you do, it's gonna stay the status quo, which is bad. And and there's, like I said, there is so much that could happen. So much that could happen. Jordan is the one nation in that area, the Heshemite kingdom. They're the one nation that has pretty much, gotten past that. I'm not saying they don't feel that way in some ways. They like to have Israel on the land, I'm sure. But they've had peace agreements with Israel for a long time, and that peace has held. And you know what? I'll tell you what Jordan did too. They kicked some of these same people out of their nation a long time ago. They kicked the PLO out. They got them out. They said, "You're not living here like that. We're not going to have this threat in our land." And they were smart to do it. And so Israel and Jordan works together. There's been times where tensions heated up a little bit. And there were times in the past, certainly, yes, some of the wars, the Jordanians were heavily fighting against the Israelis, but they've gotten past that. And Jordan is a place that people go to visit. They have tourism. They're connected to the Dead Sea, the Red Sea, and all that. They've got things that they're doing that makes them a place that they can have more. Do that in those other areas, and until you do, it's going to be the same old, same old. So let's pray for the rest of them that are locked up. Let's pray, we pray for the loss of life, those that those that have already been deceased, and we know that. And you know what? I pray for losses on the other side. There's been innocent people that are caught up into this. This is ugly. It's ugly business. It sure is, this war. And so but the kill, there's cross attacks back. I mean, if you don't stop firing rockets into the land, it's never going to stop, and you've got to just stop that. And get the UN. That's God. I just get so mad when I think about the UN. Their UN has been involved in some of this stuff. There's connecting dots to some of that. It makes me so angry, and I'm against giving them another dime until they straighten out that organization. If not, just be done with you. I mean, you've not made it any better. You're part of the problem. So yeah, let's get it better and hope. It's a dicey dilemma, if I can say it that way, for every American president. And Trump was pretty successful in the Abraham Accords and all that he negotiated last time. We hope that further things can be done. We see some movement here, ceasefires, release of hostages. And, it's always a hot potato. It's always, right on that red line. It's ready to go at any moment. But we got to downplay. We got to drop the things back and forth. First thing that's got to happen is, we got to get this hostilities to stop. Got to quit firing the rockets in. Get all the hostages back and get these people places to live and food and all the things they need. But the problem is how do you deal with a terrorist organization like Hamas? I mean, but I will say it isn't a weird dynamic that Hamas was, had to protect the young releases. The young lady was released, the older gentleman, from the crowd who wanted to just totally annihilate them. Do we say thank you? I mean, what? You're the problem. That's why they had to go through that crap. Now, we're not saying thank you for that, but it's interesting that they were actually defending life at that moment. But they're no heroes. And anyway, it's just frustrating to see that type of stuff. But hopefully more and more can be released, and we want to see that. And I'm glad for the Americans that were released, the ones we mentioned in the previous program. I'm happy for them as well. Let's just get people out of captivity that can be released. Um, and there's an old story in America, and he committed treason against America. One of the things that could happen with Israel is I think he's still being held here. We could probably just go ahead and send him back to Israel. Um, there's been a lot of thought about that too, but anyway, let's just clean some of the stuff. Get the ones that we don't need to take care of out of the country. Get them to Gitmo. Get them back to their home countries or whatever. I support all that. Let's get them out of here. Let's get as many as we can out of here. If they've served a long time, let's go ahead and just commute that and get them out of here. And you can't never come back. Let's quit paying for their housing. If they've been in jail for 20, 30 years, let's move them on. It's time. Or give them a new location, Gitmo. I'm all for that. So I'm looking forward to that. I do. I support that. Club Gitmo. Let's put them down there and give them new destination. It won't be a roll in the sun for them. So oh my goodness. Well, folks, thanks for being here. We're going to jump off here again. I got off my soapbox. Pray for Rob. Pray for me. Pray for all of our nation, and pray for the president. We'll be looking at news. Join our next, unless I go earlier, next live will be in the morning, or Sunday morning in the Word. Tomorrow night, for sure. We'll probably have a sports show tomorrow as well. We got to start looking at the Super Bowl, and then we'll roll back into our Monday shows. We'll get off here because they're fixing to do some work in my studio, my son and friend. And so I really told them I'd be out by 11, but they're not here yet. So got some things going to be a little bit different look. You might not can see that, but it may show up on screen as we just get this studio further developed. Have a great day out there. What's one of the creators that I listen to every once in a while? If you're an American, act like it. Yeah. So yeah, let's be American today. Let's enjoy the freedoms we have. Let's go out and do some family stuff. If you're working, go in with a smile on your face, and you lift somebody's spirits, today with a smile on your face. If you're going somewhere, and be safe, enjoy your journey, and you know what? Because we do never know, like my friend that passed away in his sleep, call somebody up today and just connect with them. You know what? If you say, I love you or whatever, but at least connect with them. Somebody you haven't talked to in a while. There's some of you out there just like me. There's been somebody you've been meaning to talk to and for a long time, and you keep putting it off. Don't put it off. Make that day today, and let them know that you care about them, and just have a conversation. Maybe send a letter to somebody today. Maybe get that letter made out. That means so much. Go visit somebody in the nursing home. Go visit somebody in the hospital if you know somebody in the hospital, and lift their spirits up. Drop them a postcard. If you're traveling today, get a postcard. Put a little stamp on it. I know they went up some, but it's still not that expensive. Put a stamp on it and put on there thinking of you, love you to somebody, and mail it to them from where you're at. They'll get a big kick out of that. There's some kid out there today that needs, kids don't get a lot of mail. We did that with the podcast. We're going to amp that up too, by the way. We did some Christmas cards, but we're going to do some birthdays and different stuff like that. But send a card to a kid today. You make them feel special, and we're going to do a lot more of that. I love that kind of stuff, but we're going to have to get some special made up Southern Fried Podcast thank you cards and Christmas cards and stuff this coming year. And we're going to send out cards too. That's a lost art. But yeah, write a letter, but if it's through the internet, I get it. It's easy and fast, but reach out to somebody today and say, hey, we're thinking about you. Don't, go like I did yesterday, volunteer, do some volunteer work. We were doing that yesterday, helping people shop, restocking shelves, getting things ready for these folks to come in that need food and whatever. I was tired afterwards. It was fun though. It was a good kind of tired. Go volunteer. There's tons of places to volunteer. I hate when I hear people say, well, I'm bored to death. I ain't got nothing to do. There's so many things to do, and it's rewarding. It feeds your soul. Go feed your soul today, and just help somebody. Help that elderly neighbor that may has had an opportunity to pick up some limbs that have fallen in their yard. Go pick them up for them today. Maybe rake some leaves if there's still leaves out, or whatever it is. Give somebody a lift to the store today, or pick up something for somebody. If you go to the store, ask them if they need anything. Maybe pick up a few extra items and take to somebody you know who struggles. All those kinds of things are ideas. Send money to organizations that you trust. That's important. Into these areas of California, Western North Carolina. Say a prayer for those families affected by these airplane crashes and stuff. Pray for them today. It's free and easy to do, and just drop your head and say a prayer. And if while you're praying, pray for us. We appreciate it. All right, take care. We'll see you soon on Southern Fried. We appreciate you so very much. God bless you, and salute out to you. We will see you again because you're one of us. We thank you. God bless.
Well, once again, it's time, my friends, for another meet and greet. We're Southern Fried and nationwide, so hang on to your seat. Look around, here's what I found. I guess you'll never know what you'll see on the Southern Fried Podcast Show.